Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. I've got another kit here to share with you guys. And I've skipped this one ahead a little bit because I've misplaced this thing multiple times. And then every time I find it, I'm like, all right, I'm going to put it somewhere where I won't forget it. And then I'm going to play with it. And then I lose it again. This time, I had put it in this, which I did not think it fit in this, but it does fit in that. And then I just threw this pack in a tote and I found it again. So it's like Christmas on Halloween for me. But this is a provision handmade gear. Super cool little pouches dude makes. He custom made this one for me. It's a little different than the others, but it's so, like, if I had this has the basic idea. I can fit a full kit in there and drop it, either wear it on my belt or drop it over an axe handle and let it slide all the way down to the head, and then I can let it ride like that on a tomahawk. This specific one was for a H&B, I think it's H&B Forge tomahawk, goshawk. But anyway, we're talking about this. This is another bits of a kit that stays in all of my backpacks. It'll have one of these, and most of the time they are in a small Tough Possum Gear belt or Skittles pouch, whichever the correct name of it is. But it has a few more things than it's in this. I'll have to show you guys that, but it's like super basic, maybe 10 items. The OE kit. This is a collaboration between Bear Forest Knives, Jason Sawyer on 3. Check out his YouTube. He's got some pretty awesome stuff. And Wazoo Survival Gear. And they sent this thing to me to play with before this thing ever released. And I have not played with just the kit. But the deal is, everything in the kit I use all the time. So I can say without a doubt how this stuff works. So content-wise, it's got a fire card. I also got to play with some of this material before the fire card existed, when Wazoo was playing with different cellulose type fire starters, like a guitar pick and so forth. They had some pretty cool ones, and they had big long strips of this. It's got different colors in them. I still have a few, but they were all these wild ass colors. Oh, I said ass, wild colors, and it was pretty neat. But this thing burns like gasoline. If you just use a tiny piece of this, like we'll cut a tiny piece just to show you. I don't want to use all of my stuff, and depending on how you light it, works really well. And that was a super, like, it burnt to nothing. That was just, again, a super tiny piece. You could bust this thing in probably 6 different pieces and have enough with proper prep to get a good fire going. So you got a Wazoo card, another large Ranger band from Wazoo, and you'll get the drift of how this thing goes. We're gonna save this for a little later. You got a signal mirror, little tiny guy. Then you basically have the contents of the adventure kit from Wazoo in here. So you got some 1-inch Gorilla Tape. You've got 2 fire plugs, a whistle, a ferro rod, a flashlight, and a ceramic knife, and a button compass. Then you have all of the hardware tubes that they have available. So this is a wire saw. This is the hardware tube that you see in a bunch of my stuff. It's got hooks and weights and needles and safety pins in it. This has got braided line in it. I think it's 30 pounds, I think. And some brass snare wire that all lives in that. We got some Technora here. I believe this is 400-pound Technora. We have reflective wire ties, orange on one side, reflective on the other. 2 orange zip ties, 3 smaller Ranger bands, and some water bags that are made from oven, like baking bag material, so you could heat it over a fire, and some water tabs in this. Then she's got a Mylar blanket in the bottom, a container, and this dude. So this was a Bear Forest knife Jason Sawyer design, I believe, and it's in ulu, which is super handy for just doing basic carving tests. So if you were, and I say that like cutting, if you're cutting, or you could lash this thing on a limb like this and put a couple pieces behind it and have a really good chopper. Scraping, does a lot of stuff well. It's it'd be an Inuit tool. It's been around for a long time. And the cool thing about Bear Forest knives stuff is they're real. They put real Scandi on their stuff. So if you get something from them, it's not going to have some secondary bevel on it. It's going to be like Scandi all the way, really sharp. This thing would take a bit of practice to figure out how to do it. Probably hold it and pull, but it's sharp. Like, it digs really well. So you'd have to push cut with it. Oh, something's hollering at me. There were some helicopters earlier. It's pretty cool. Normally don't get helicopters around here. But there would be multiple options on ways that you could utilize this thing. I haven't got to do a bunch of them, so I'm not 100% sure what all you can do with it. But carving, basic fire prep, you can skin an animal with it easily. But cutting cordage and this and that and the other, making smaller, small curls for starting a fire, you could do that easily. And then I wonder if we can do like this. It's kind of spooky, but I guarantee it would work fine. It gets you closer down there to the blade. You could totally make a pile of shavings with that. It would just take a little while. Like anything, it's going to have a learning curve. So it's going to, this is going to be different than this dude. Or, a Swiss Army knife. You would just have to, you'd have to play with it. But that's a good thing for swapping up tools, like I do the knife of the month. So every month I get to use a new knife for that month. And sometimes, like this month, the knife it's a brand new knife, so I get to do all the stuff that I would do to a brand new knife, but I'm familiar with a more 511, and occasionally I'll get knives that I'm familiar with but most of the time it's something a little bit different. And I'll address this too. Somebody had said in a comment, asked why, and they just said, and why is this better than this brand? When it comes to knives, unless they are ridiculously similar to the point where the ones that you're testing are basically all the same knife with different knife grinds on them or different blade grinds on them, can you try to say one performs better than the other? Because this is not no better or worse than this Mora. This is a totally different knife. This Mora is a totally different knife than the Garberg. The Garberg's different from the Genesis. The Tom Brown is different than an Eldris. Like it's different flavors. So it's not that one's better than the other. It's that it's different. And using different stuff helps with overall knife skills, and not just the ability to adapt to one thing over time, but know basically how you're going to accomplish tasks with something different. And that's basically what bushcraft is in like a nutshell. That there's a ton of basic skills, and being good at the basic skills basically means you can do about anything. There's not no fanciness to it. You just know how to accomplish tasks with what you have. And that, like I said, that's I got kind of deep there, but that's a good thing about switching up. So if you guys have the option to switch up from time to time, I would suggest doing so, just to kind of familiarize yourself with a bunch of different options. It just helps you in the end with your knife skills, in my opinion anyway. But the Ulu, got my tape measure right here now so I can measure stuff. This whole kit is about 5 inches by 3 1/4, and it's about 1.5 inches thick, so the whole thing closed. The Ulu is going to come in about 3 inches by about 2 inches roughly. So it's going to have a little over maybe close to 3.5 inch blade from where it hangs over on both sides. But it's cool. This would, like I said, you could use this for a chopper or a scraper, all kind of options with that. Most of the time you would have more than just this, and like the way that I had it set up is I was thinking about having more than just this. I was saying that I had it on a kit with a tomahawk, and it lived on my tomahawk. That way, if for some reason I was in a spot where I only had my tomahawk, since this is on the handle with my shoulder strap on it, I should have that entire deal. Like I should have the survival kit and the tomahawk if I was lucky. So that's kind of what I'm doing, is adding to what I can do with what I have by throwing in where I said you could make this thing like I'm gonna take some of this out. You could make it like a chopper. Well, if you had a tomahawk, you wouldn't need to use it as a chopper. This would just be a backup blade for whatever you were doing with it. And I think that just kind of turns some things in your favor and gives you an edge with things that you have. I don't know how it all goes back in here now, but this will be pretty close. As long as it fits, that's the main thing. See if it fits. But that is fit good, fit better than when I got it. So it didn't clip. It may have something else in there I need to go through and see. Oh, this was the big Ranger band that was in it, just in case. I'm gonna pop this dude this way, and I'll put the other one around it like I had it, just to give it a little bit of water resistance, just over the seam there. It may not do a lot to it, but I like to think it lends to my PMA with this thing. But this is a good option if you were looking for something to play with to practice skills, or something just to throw in a pack, say to go in a boat or on a four-wheeler or something like that. That would be a good one-shot starter, and then you could take and adapt that however you see fit. Like I was gonna add this to it, which has a poncho in it. So a poncho, you have a Mylar blanket. I got a few more bits and bobs that live in this thing normally, but I'll probably put them in a different pack, since for the majority of it is there. And I can put different things in the old Dookie kit here. But yeah, again, check these guys out. Wazoo Survival Gear, On 3, Jason Sawyer, and Bear Forest Knives. They're on all kinds of social media, Instagram. Check out their websites. Tons of great gear. Classes. Jason teaches a bunch of really fun classes. Yeah, check out my other platforms. My Instagram is @Bushcraftkelso. I have a website where you can get things and stuff. Bushcraftkelso.com. Again, guys, thank you. Trying to get better at talking. Saying see, I just did it. And breathing so loud, but I have to. I'll die if I don't. So, but I appreciate it. Like and subscribe. We'll see you next time. Thank you.